there, beautiful souls. Happy Thursday. Today is the 31st, and we are going to celebrate a entering of a new year. And before we got really into the celebration or whatever activities each and every one of us may have for the farewell and the welcoming of the new year, I wanted to come in and share what the F in safety stands for and give you my perspective of this letter in my word for the year, right? We already talked about my word for 2021 being safety, and it is a twofold experience for me because it is about creating safety for myself from within, and it is also an acronym. So today we're going to be talking about the F, and the F stands for freedom and sovereignty. And this is huge, especially throughout this time period where a lot of us have seen or may feel that choices are being taken away from us and freedom is being limited, right? We have so many limitations, tangible limitations that have been imposed on us. The separation of our family members due to the pandemic, the inability to do things like travel and be free in the world and move around the world freely has been an experience this year. A lot of our freedom has been impacted. And I want us to talk about the word freedom from a perspective of inner freedom, your choice for freedom, right? And how important that is as an energetic. And that is why this word is so important to me. I'm a Sagittarian, and freedom and liberty is huge for me. And I remember a time in my life very recently where I chose freedom for myself in moving away from a personal relationship that I had from my partner. And that freedom that I chose was tinted through the lens of being alone, being abandoned in my choice. There was a lot of that edge. And there was a moment where I realized that my choice to walk away was not a choice to be alone, but rather a choice to be free and sovereign. And that differentiator, changing the way I looked at freedom from the perspective of freedom creates potential pain, fear, all the things that I had wrapped up in the concept of that experience shifted and lifted in a second the minute I chose to see it differently. And that is very powerful about freedom. And that's part of why this word is like huge for me, because what I'm talking about is freedom of choice, freedom to be led by my heart and by my soul, freedom to listen to my truth and allow that to be the thing that I anchor into, the freedom to check in. I mean, that is a choice that we have in our freedom to check in with ourselves and see what's real there. And we don't use that freedom as often as we can. A lot of times we are checking in with those outside of us. We are checking in and getting people's feedback and their thoughts. And we're not really using the power of checking in with self first and foremost as a guiding tool, as a navigation tool. And that is the power of freedom to be led by your heart, right? Um, and when you allow yourself to be led by your heart, there is the unbinding from the things that you feel you should do, you the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, all the thoughts that we impose on ourselves, right? That is not freedom. Literally following our heart and going with our soul's desire is a act of freedom. And that's the kind of freedom I'm talking about for 2021. That's the kind of freedom that I'm inviting you to access within yourself, because those are the elements that are going to really allow you to be guided in the direction of your highest trajectory and destiny, right? When we're not following, when we're not acting on the freedom of our heart and our soul, and we're acting on what maybe we think we should do, or what we believe will make others happy, or by more about worrying about what others think versus what our soul is calling us to do, we are binded, we are chained to those concepts. And this is what I invite you when I invite you to really step into freedom. um, Other types of freedom that are important are freedom from expectations, freedom from other people's expectations. And we're going to talk about that more, but my own expectations. I choose to be free from creating expectations in everything that I access. How free could it be if I just tapped into the experience, or tapped into the opportunities and the possibilities of what can be created behind that thought, or behind that experience, or behind that process, versus hooking it on to some sort of expectation or some concept of what I think it gets to be or needs to be or should be, right? And that's another aspect of freedom that I am tapping into in 2021. And it's an invitation for us to just be free from it has to look a certain way, free from it has to be experienced a certain way, right? Even in today's social conditioning, this entire holiday, this entire year, all of the experiences that we are having are happening in a very different way. What if we just stayed open to the possibility of it even getting more different and more expansive and more creative and more of a combination of different elements versus the standard and the expectations that we put on things, right? And that this is like there's so many different angles of this freedom concept, because we are doing things differently, but the way they're being done may be imposed by others, and that takes away the freedom. My recommendation, my suggestion, the way I'm approaching freedom is from a place of freedom of everything I know up until now, allowing myself to just unhook from everything that I know up until now, and allowing the freedom of a new form, a new way to be able to show itself, and being open to that, being open to the possibility of that, right? Um, there's the potential of freedom of my emotions. And this is a big one for me because I have in the past been very attached to controlling things, right? It's the boss lady persona, being able to be in control of things and being able to set standards and have things in a certain structure and ensure that things are being managed a certain way, right? All of those elements that I was hooked onto around control are no longer, and I have the possibility of creating permission and freedom around that. Another aspect of freedom that I'm tapping into is freedom of emotions, saying yes to every single emotion that may be coming up for me. It doesn't have to be a good emotion, it doesn't have to be a bad emotion. Emotions may not even need to be labeled good or bad? What if I just called them emotions and allowed myself to feel them freely? Right? That's a beautiful luxury that I'm excited to experience. And, I've experienced it and to continue to experience it, because once you can look at emotions as okay to experience all of them, life becomes lighter. And all the things that are being held down in the fear of the emotions seeping out get to be set free. And it's also a time of exploration when you demonstrate freedom of emotion, because there was a time in my life where the only emotion I could access was either happiness or anger. Whenever there was an emotion in between, even confusion, I tap into anger, which is the lower vibrating emotion that I could have access to. And now, as I have given myself freedom of emotion, I'm able to feel all of them. And they have all different colors and feelings and variety and different elements of it that come into play and are allowed to be seen and felt. So, freedom of emotions is something that I am definitely excited about in terms of creating safety by experiencing my emotions, by allowing my emotions to have an outlet, by allowing my emotions to have space to show up in my life. That is safety versus the fear of being seen in a certain emotion, or the hard work of holding emotions in, right? So that's huge and important. And I just want to share with you that this opportunity to tap into the F word, which is freedom, is an invitation for all of us, especially during these times where we feel like there isn't a lot of that. Know that there is. We have the freedom to choose. We have the freedom to feel. We have the freedom to listen to our inner selves and use that as a guidance system. We have a freedom to show up without expectations and free from anything that may be binding us or holding us back. Freedom is a huge opportunity that we have coming into next year and accessible to us in our entire life. And the difference is just tweaking a little bit how we look at it, tweaking a little bit. And the entire conversation that we're having here as we go through the word safety is about looking at how you can create safety from within. How can you create freedom from within? That's the question. So I'm going to leave you with that. I am wishing so much abundance, so much inner peace, so much love, so much light. May you be blessed. May you feel held. May you feel protected. May you feel seen. May you feel like you belong. May you find a space where you can contribute. May you seek and find your purpose in this life. And may you say yes to everything that your soul is hoping to live out and everything that your soul wants to experience. Have a happy new year. And we're only at the F of my word safety. So I'll see you again soon. Love you. Bye.